All right, here we are. Our first day. First real day. Because what did we do last time? We talked about what two major parts of math? Yep. Order of operations and the properties. These two things follow you in any math course you ever take, or anything that deals with math. These two things follow it forever. When the order of operations, we limited last time only to addition and multiplication, right? We did the properties of math. What were the first three properties we had? The commutative property of addition and multiplication. Then our second property, the associative property of addition and multiplication. And the third one, the distributive property. So what did the commutative property of addition look like? Mm-hmm. Basically, it says no matter how you arrange the numbers with addition, it'll give you the same answer. Good morning. And then for multiplication, how would you read this? XY, yes, or x times y. Because remember, this is the same thing as that, is the same thing as that, or if you're dealing with letters, variables, or equations, then you don't need anything between there. So commutative property tells us how we can move things around. This is to move things. The associative property introduced what? Parentheses, very good. Whenever you have a series of numbers and an operation, if it doesn't have parentheses, what do you do? How do you read it? No, you read left to right, like a sentence. Because remember, math is a philosophy, it's a logic. So when you read a math statement, you read left to right. So all this does is tells us which ones we have to do first. It's we do x plus y first, and whatever that answer is, whatever that sum is, then we add it to z. That's another thing I want to do, if not today, the next time, is when you see the words or the operations up there, it's pretty easy. But there are words associated to the math symbols. Like, well, let me do this last one. What's the distributive property look like? What this means, what's this number in front called? Coefficient. So it says a times x plus y. So ax plus ay. So multiply whatever the coefficient is to everybody inside the parentheses. So let's look at the example there. Let's look at an example there. There are two ways we can do this problem. One, we could do the order of operations. What does the order of operations tell us to do? Let's do this side. Add the parentheses first. So we have to do inside here. Why does it tell us to do the parentheses first? What set of rules tells us that? The order of operations. Remember the order of operations? What's the first step of order of operations? Special operations. Because parentheses are not the only thing. We have brackets. We can have absolute value signs. We're going to cover all these different symbols. So it tells us the order of operations says do special operations first. When we're leading left to right, this is 2 times, here's a parenthesis. So it tells us do inside there first. 3 plus 4 is 7. Order of operations again, reading left to right. Okay, let me see. Order of ops. Special operations first. Multiplication, division second. And then addition, subtraction last. So as we read left to right, we see a parenthesis. That's a special operation we have to do inside there. So we did that. Read left to right. Here's a parenthesis. Can we do anything inside there? No, it's a 7. So we're done with special operations. Which now we go to the next one. Are there any multiplication divisions? Yeah, here's a multiplication right here. 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is what? And that's what we're going to spend a lot of time today going through a whole bunch of examples of special operation of order operations. Because we're only limiting right now ourselves to multiplication and addition. What about subtraction? What about division? We have all those things to talk about. Now, let's look at the properties. What property can I use here? The distributive property. So remember, what is the purpose of distributive? What is the main purpose of distributive property? What does it get rid of? Yeah. Gets rid of parentheses. That's what the distributivity property does. Because when we multiply everybody inside there, it gets rid of the parentheses. Now we can go on further and solve it. So let's look at 2 times 3. You're going to hear me do this a lot. I want you all to use whatever method you want to, but the most common mistake in mathematics, in any level of mathematics, is because of that little symbol there. The negative sign. This is the minus sign, the negative sign. And so that's what I'm showing you. Treat the signs different than the numbers. If you treat the signs and numbers differently, then that mistake is cut down dramatically. Here's what I'm saying. Is 2 positive or negative? So it's positive. So we have positive times positive. What's positive times positive? A positive. So there's the signs. 2 times 4. And this will make more sense when we start with negative numbers. So 2 times 3 is what? Order of operations, read left to right, parentheses, yeah, here's parentheses. But we can't do anything, so we do multiplication. 2 times 4 is 8. Left to right, only addition. 6 plus 8 is 14. So it doesn't matter which set of rules you follow. you'll get the same answer. But as long as you follow the rules, top down, you'll never go wrong. Where you go wrong is when you start making fast decisions. If you go too quick, you'll make mistakes. Because today I'm going to give you some long ones. Okay, so everything we dealt with so far is only these two symbols. Addition and multiplication. Let's introduce negative numbers. What is an opposite? What does it do? Opposite is just change the sign of the number. If I give you 5, what's its opposite? Positive 5. If I give you 7, it's negative 7. That's all you do is just change the sign of the number. What's the opposite of this number? Ooh, you're at yes and no. Which one's which? This is negative? So it's a negative what? Who says it's negative 3? Who thinks it's positive 3? Okay, this is why I usually have everybody stand up if they think it's positive. Then I say, this is what wrong looks like. But I won't do that today. What do you have to do first? Remember, I said do the signs and the numbers differently. What operation do we do here? Is it plus or what? Multiply. Negative times negative is positive. And then just 3. What number is in front of that parenthesis? There's always a 1. If there's no number there, there's always a 1. Very important. If there's no number, there's always a 1. For example, if I had this, x plus 4x, what's the answer? Why is it 5? There's a 1 there. So 1 plus 4 is 5, and they're all x's. Yes, you got that correctly, but what rule did we use to solve this? No, not really. We didn't use the addition just yet. We used a combination of them. This is what happens in your head once you know the rules of math. So we have 1x plus 4x. What do they both have in common? They both have an x. If I take away the x out of both of these, what do I have left? The 1 plus 4. Because if I took away the x's, they're all x's, so I'm just looking how many there are. There's 1 here and there's 4 here, so there are 5 x's, which is where the answer came from. Again, this is what goes through your head when you learn mathematics. You thought, okay, there's 1 x here, I have 4 more, I have 5 x's, but mathematically, this is what's really happening. What rule is this? Anybody guess? It's distributive. It's distributive property. From our class yesterday, the distributive property had two rules. Going from left to right, I distribute. I take the coefficient and multiply it to everybody inside there. But because it's equal, I can go backwards. I can go from here to here. What's that called? Factoring. Now you see the reason why I'm going to go slow in this first part of the course, because these are the building blocks. Once you understand these rules, mathematics, I don't care what level of math it is just reading a book. What people have trouble with is this kind of stuff. What rules do we apply? We'll apply. All right. Now, when we talk about the properties, why don't we use the negative in division? Let's see if it works. The first property was the commutative. But this time, we're going to use subtraction and division. So if you look back at the commutative property, x minus y, does it equal y minus x? Why not? It only happens, it's only true in one instance. It's only true if x equals y, if they're the same number. 4 minus 2 does not equal 2 minus 4. That doesn't work. 4 minus 2 is what? That means does not equal 2. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. I'm going to give you the rule, the reason why that is. Is 2 equal to negative 2? No. So that's why subtraction doesn't work. How about division? X divided by y equals y divided by x. Is that true? Let's look at 4 divided by 2. Does that equal 2 divided by 4? No, it's not equal. These are not equal statements. 2 goes into 4 twice. But what do we do here? Two, what do they have in common? They're both divisible by 2. So 2 goes into 2 how many times? Once. 2 goes into 4 20 times. 2 times. So 2 does not equal 1/2. That's how come division doesn't work. Since these two don't work, obviously the associative property doesn't work. But how about the distributive property? Does that work? That's pretty quick. Did you work it out? What numbers did you use? What did you get? In mathematics, you can't just say yes or no. You have to work out a proof. What I'm going to say here is 4, 5, and 6. No, let's make this 8 minus 6. I don't want to deal with negatives in there just yet. So 4 times 8 minus 4 times 6. What is 4 times 8? 4 times 6? 32 minus 24 is 18. No, it's 8. It's 8. Let's look at the other side. Do inside the parentheses. 8 minus 6 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. So does it always work? We don't. What if? Okay, now if I'm going too fast, if I take the sheet out too fast, stop me. Just tell me to put it back up there. I'll put it back up there. But what I'm going to do with all this stuff, I'm going to put it back up there. What I'm going to do with all these notes is after class, I'm going to scan them into PDF forms and upload it to eCampus. That and the video, this video we're making. So like I said earlier, if you ever have to miss a class or if you're late or anything, you won't miss anything because I'm recording everything. Or if you're sick or anything, you stay home, I live stream it. You have the link on your computer, on your syllabus. Got it? Let's try this. So what answer did you get? Okay, we have somebody who has 6. What else? Don't be see. This is what this is how come like online classes are much better because nobody can see your face. You just hear your voice. So I apologize. Spit out an answer. We got one person who said 6. What else? Okay, -9. Anybody else? There could be an infinite number of different answers. Only one right one. Let's see this. Did you use the order of operations or did you use distributivity? If you use the order of operations, you have to do inside the parentheses first. 5 minus 2 is? Now, here's the important thing. Remember I said keep the signs and numbers differently. What is the sign of this one? Is it positive or negative? Positive. So negative times positive is what? Negative. So positive times positive equals positive. Negative times negative is positive. So, if they're the same, if the two numbers have the same signs, the answer is positive. If the numbers have different signs, the answer is negative. You can only have one sign between any two numbers, or in front of any number. So, negative times positive, since they're opposites, negative. 3 times 3 is 9, negative 9. You're going to change your answer now? Okay. Now, if you did the other way, if you did the properties method, this number times both of those. Same process. Negative times positive is negative. 3 times 5 is 15. Then negative times negative is positive. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we got, this is where a lot of people get mixed up again. And I'll put the rules down in a second. Whenever you have different signs, take the sign of the larger number and subtract the two numbers. So what number is bigger, 15 or 6? So since 15 is negative, the answer is negative. 15 minus 6 is 9. So the answer is negative 9. So with signed numbers, the addition rule. If the signs are the same, if the signs are the same, take the common sign. If they're the same, whatever that sign is, take the common sign that they have and add the two numbers. If the signs are the same, take the common sign and add the two numbers. How many of y'all hate negatives? And fractions. Get in line. I do too. They cause more trouble. They cause more students to fail math courses. I can't stand them. Okay, how about this? 3 plus 5. Yeah, is it positive or negative? Because they're both positive. So it's 8. Negative 2 minus 4. Are the signs the same? So the common sign is negative. Since they're the same, you add the numbers. 4 plus 2 is there. That's how you do it. Negative 8 minus 1. Negative what? Negative 9. Yeah, because they're both negative, so I put the answer as negative. 8 plus 1 is 9. This is what I'm saying. Keep the signs and the numbers separately. If you do that, you'll never have a sign issue. So that's what addition is all about. subtract. If the signs are different, if the signs are different, remember, you don't have to write that. If you want to, you're more than welcome to, but I'm going to send you all these notes so you won't miss anything. If the signs are different, take the sign of the larger number and subtract the two numbers. Here's a very important note. When I say subtract, in this case, I'm always saying the larger number minus the smaller number. That's what subtract means in this case. Why do I do it this way? Why is it larger minus smaller? Because if it was opposite, you'd have a negative answer. And that's the reason where we took care of the signs, we don't care about the sign anymore. So we want a positive number, a number itself. So here's some examples. 5 minus 3. Which one's bigger? Positive or negative? So the answer is positive. 5 minus 3 is 2. So the answer is positive 2. 2 minus 7. Is the answer positive or negative? Negative. Because 7 is bigger than 2, and it's negative. So the answer is negative. 7 minus 2 is 5. Negative 8 plus 3. Yeah, 8's bigger than 3. It's negative, so the answer is negative. 8 minus 3 is 5. Makes more sense now? Hopefully, I'm trying to get all the fear away from negative signs. How about this one? What's the answer? Positive or negative? What's the number? The signs are the same. If the signs are, that's a trick question, I know. If the signs are the same, what do you do? If the signs are the same, you add the numbers. So 2 plus, since they're both negatives, 2 plus 4 is 6. That was a trick question. How many of y'all fell for it? Who put negative 2 down? Okay, who's afraid to say negative 2? No. But that's the rules for there. Let's look at multiplication and division of negative signs. What? When you're multiplying a series of numbers, they're positives and negatives. For example, if I gave you Is the answer going to be positive or negative? Remember, I told you do them separately. Is it going to be positive or negative? Why? Nope. That only works in addition and subtraction. Right. Whenever you're multiplying or dividing, let me give you an example of a division one. And we're going to work these two out. How many of y'all would not like this on a test? I'm going to show you how much easier it is. So, is the second one, is the answer positive or negative? Why? Nope. Remember, in multiplication, it doesn't have anything to do with biggest number or smallest number. The answer is going to be positive. Here's the rule. If you have an even number of negative signs, if you have an even number of negative signs in your equation, the answer will be positive. If you have an even number of negative signs in your equation, then your answer is going to be positive. Why? Yeah, because negative times a negative becomes a positive. So basically, every other one cancels out a negative sign. So if I had a negative times a negative times a negative times a negative, is that going to be positive or negative? Yeah, because negative times negative is what? A positive. Positive times negative is a negative. And negative times negative is a positive. So basically, every pair of them cancels out. That's how come if they're even, they cancel out. Makes sense? Because negative times negative is positive. So, if you look at this first one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. So it's going to be positive. Because of this, I'm done with the signs. I don't have to deal with the signs anymore. All I have to do now is look at the numbers. Okay, looking at this thing, do we have to multiply them straight across left to right? Or can we pick and choose numbers? What says we can pick and choose? What rule or property? Commutative. We can move them around. Since we know all the signs disappear, all we have left is numbers. I can put these two together. I could put 2 times 5. I could put, what's the next one going to be? 3 times 3. And then I could put 4 times 2. 1 doesn't change anything. Anything times 1 is itself. 2 times 5 is what? 10. 3 times 3? 4 times 2? 9 times 8? Who didn't know that? I mean, who knew that? But look at your hands. Put your hands up like this. 9 times 8. Put down your 8th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do I have left? 8, 2, 82. Or 72. It's say 9 times 4. Anything with 9, put down the 4th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 36. 36. So you could use, you don't need calculators. You can use this just by put down your fingers. So 9 times 5, 45. 9 times 9, 81. So 10 times 72. Anytime you multiply by a number that has 0 behind it, I just do 1 times 72 and put a 0 behind it. Anytime you multiply by something that ends with a 0, just multiply the numbers, 1 times 72, and put 1 0 behind it. So the answer to this one is positive 720. Was that difficult? No. Now it was, once I did it. This one's even easier. Because the whole purpose about division is what? Canceling. Is there anything same on top and bottom? Remember, we don't have to worry about the signs anymore. We're finished with the signs because we know the answer is positive. Is there a 2 on the bottom? So those 2 cancel. Is there a 5? So those 2 cancel. There's a 3. Oh, here's a 7, here's a 14. 7 goes into 7 one time. 7 goes into 14. So what do I have on top left? I just have a 6 on top. And what do we have on the bottom? And this 2 here. So I have 2 times 4. Yeah, don't forget, when we did the 7 goes into 14 twice, we have a 2 here. Can anything cancel now? Does 2 go into 2? Yes, 1 time. Does 2 go into 6? 3 times. So what I have left is 3 over 4. That's the whole secret about division. Just look what's the same on top and bottom. And we're going to spend a whole day talking about that too. How to add, subtract, multiply, divide fractions. So, if you have an even number of negative signs, the answer is positive. What happens if you have an odd number of negative signs? It's negative. Yeah. If you have an odd number of negative signs, in your equation. The answer will be negative. That brings us to another concept of math. Odd versus even. Even means it's positive. Odd means it's negative. How do you remember that? Count the number of lines. How many lines does it take to make a negative sign? Is one odd or even? It's odd. How many lines does it take to make a plus sign? Is two odd or even? So if you have two lines, it makes it a positive. If you have an odd number, if you have one line, it makes it a negative. I know it sounds Mickey Mouse, but these kind of stuffs are easier to stick in your head. How many of y'all still sing the alphabet song when you're asked to do the alphabet? Yeah, some things work. Stick with it. All right. So those are the rules for adding, subtracting, and introducing a part of multiplication division. Let's look at some examples. It looks ugly, doesn't it? I gave you this one first, and then we're going to do some smaller ones next. But I want to show you how it works from ugly ones to the nicer ones. Whenever you solve these problems, it's always the same thing. Order of operations. Special operations. Reading left to right. Are there any special operations? Here's a parenthesis. So this parenthesis pairs up with, that's where it closes. So we have to do inside this parenthesis first. So inside this parenthesis, repeat the process. Reading left to right, what do you get? Inside here, you get a parenthesis. So this parenthesis goes with that. So that can't go any further inside there. So I have to do this first. What is 5 plus 4? So the first thing we did was the deepest inside parenthesis we could find. Okay, repeat the process. Read left to right. Here's a parenthesis, so we have to do inside this one. This is where it closes. So we have to read inside there. Here's a parenthesis. Can we do anything inside there? So we have to get rid of the parentheses. How do we get rid of the parentheses? What do we have to do? Multiply. What is positive times positive is positive. 2 times 9? 18. Minus 6. Repeat the process. Read left to right. Are there any special operations? Yep, here's a parenthesis. We can do inside there. So we have to do this next. $18 is positive, 6 is negative. The answer positive or negative? Positive. 18 minus 6? 12. Read left to right. Here's a parenthesis. Can we do anything inside there? So, let's keep on going until we find something we do something else with. Keep on going. Negative. Here's a parenthesis. Can we do anything inside there? They're both negative. What does that mean? Are they multiplying or adding together? This is addition subtraction. Since they're both the same, they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. 3 plus, and then add the numbers. Since the signs are the same, I take the common sign and I add the numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7. You're getting the rules mixed up between addition and subtraction versus multiplication. Reading left to right, so I have these multiplications. So negative times positive is what? Negative. 3 times 12. Yeah, so 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3, it's 36. Negative times negative. That's where it turns to positive. Then 2 times 7 is 14. You notice the difference. The difference between negative 3 minus 4 and negative 2 times negative 7. Because the way you read it, this is negative 3 minus 4. It's a subtraction problem. That's where I look at the common signs. This one is negative 2 times negative 7. Because it's multiplied, I have 2 negatives, the answer becomes positive. That's a very fine line between the two. Is the answer going to be positive or negative? Why? Because 36 is bigger than 14, and it's negative. So now we subtract the numbers. 36 minus 14. 6 minus 4 is 2. 3 minus 1, the answer is negative 22. Difficult or easy? Or getting there? Well, if you look at the way I did it, I did one step each time until I get comfortable with it. Students in the past have said, but that's a waste of paper. Now, then I ask them, is it cheaper to buy more paper or repeat this course? Yeah, so use the paper. It's much cheaper to buy paper than repeat this course. Do that one. This is another reason why I don't like PEMDAS. Because PEMDAS doesn't talk about brackets. All brackets do is separate parentheses. So when you finish, spit out your answers.
I got 24.
Okay, 24. Anybody else? So if I give somebody this pen, they can come here and do the work. No, nobody got anything. There's an erasing. Nobody got anything different? Okay, let's look at this. What do you have to do first? What's that? Okay. So reading left to right. Here is a bracket. That's the opening. This is the closing. So we have to do inside here. Read left to right. Here's a parenthesis. So we have to do inside here first. So we have to do that. 3 minus 5. Well, are they both the same signs? No. One's positive, one's negative. Since 5 is bigger than 3, the answer is going to be what? Negative. 5 minus 3 is 2. Repeat the process. Read left to right. Here's a bracket. It starts there, ends there, so we have to do inside there. Here's a parenthesis. We can't do anything inside there, so we have to get rid of it. We have to do this. Negative times negative, positive. 2 times 2, and then plus 2. Read left to right. Here's a bracket. Do inside there. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 times 4, 24. You see, it's always going to be the same steps. It's always going to be the same steps. You want a more difficult one? Let's try one. There. I ran out of paper. It's a 4 minus 5? Or right here? This one? It's both. It's, yeah, it's 4 minus 5, which, since the sign in front of 5 is a minus, that means it's a negative, yes. Because minus sign, negative sign are the same thing. They're exactly the same thing. And I'll show you what that means in a second. I'm glad you asked that because, yeah, that'll go lead into the next I'm going to show you. You can work with your neighbor. I mean, it's not cheating. And yes, this is an outrageously long question. So if you can do this, all the stuff in the homework, you'll fall asleep over. Finished? Nobody's got an answer yet? Okay. That could be, I mean, that could be totally correct. Anybody else got something different? Okay, we'll see if it's right. You're the only brave one. What'd you get? You got -5? That could be right. Okay. Nothing yet? Okay, let's look at the first. The hardest thing about this one is all the different parentheses and stuff around there, which is why we introduce, you have parentheses, you have brackets, and you have these squiggly brackets you can use. So here we have the first one. This one, here's where it opens. Where does this one stop? Here's another open one. Here's another open one. This one opens and closes here. This one opens and closes here. Another open. So this first one goes all the way to the end. That means we have to do inside there first. Okay, so we know where beginning and the end is. So I go inside here, read left to right. I go to this bracket. It starts and stops here. So inside there, left to right. I have to do this parenthesis first. How many of y'all started there? Excellent. Because you're always supposed to start in the innermost. Kind of like an egg, it grows out. And if it makes life easier for you, you can change these. Instead of parentheses, I could say it could be a squiggly. Because these inner and outer ones are squiggly lines. Everything else goes inside there. And this one, since it's inside there, so what is -2 plus 3? 1. Because 3 is bigger than 2, it's positive. 3 minus 2 is 1. Repeat the process. Squiggly line to squiggly line. So I have to do inside there. Here's a bracket. I have to do inside here. Can I do anything inside there? No, so I have to multiply, get rid of it. So it's negative times positive means negative. 5 times 1 is 5. And just write everything else down. Next step, I do inside the brackets again. So I have to do inside this one. So I have to, since there's no special operations in multiplication, it's just read left to right. I'll write the rest of this stuff down. So 4 minus 5 is what? This is -1. Because they're different signs. 5 is bigger, it has negative. 5 minus 4 is 1. If they have different signs, you have to take the sign of the larger number. Here's the outer bracket. I have to do inside here, so I have to do inside this now. What is negative 1 plus 3? Positive 2. Because 3 is bigger than 1. Answer is positive. 3 minus 1 is 2, so it's positive 2. Read left to right. I get a bracket. I have to do inside this. Here's a bracket in here. Can I do anything inside there? So I could get rid of the bracket, but I'll keep on going. I would wait to here. So here's one. I could do something inside. What is that one going to equal? Four minus 5 is negative 1. 5 is bigger than 4, so it's negative. 5 minus 4 is 1. Read left to right. Do inside there. I can't do anything inside these guys, so what do I do next? No, I have to do inside there. So I can't do the brackets. I can't do any more special operations inside there. What do I do next? Multiplication, division. So I multiply these two. Positive times positive is positive. 2 times 2 is 4. And write everything else down. Again, I have to do inside the bracket. There's no special operations I can do anymore. Here's a multiplication. Positive times negative is a negative. 3 times 1. And then bring everything else down. You see how it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller? Don't try to rush it. Do each step at a time. Now inside this bracket, there's no special operations. There's no multiplication division, so I read left to right. 3 plus 4 is... Actually, because of commutativity, I can, instead of doing left to right, I can do 3 minus 3. What happens there? They cancel out, so I can just get rid of those. You don't have to go left to right. If it's just addition, subtraction, they're the same level of importance. I could just move them around. Do you want me to do that, or just keep on going left to right? Cancel? All right. So 3 and negative 3 cancel. So what I have left is positive 4 minus 2. Four minus 2 is? I can't do anything else inside there, so I multiply. What number is between there? Now, so negative times positive is a negative. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is? Negative 1. Yes. Don't say I made a mistake. This negative out in front will change it. Remember what I said earlier? What's going to ruin your score the most is that little sign right there. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, so actually it turns this into a negative. This is a positive 2 right now, but it's negative 1 times, so negative times positive is negative. 2 times 1. And since the signs are different, take the sign of the larger number and subtract them. Yes, that was long. That was a big, hard, ugly one. But is it impossible? Yes.
So anytime you're doing the equation and that negative sitting out there, it's always 1 going all the way down.
Yeah, is a coefficient? Yeah, there's a 1 right after it. Right. Yes. Yeah. Notice, if you see a sign and there's nothing there, there's a 1 there. Because remember this example? We have 4 of these and we have 1 of those. So that means it's a 5x. So yeah, if there's nothing there, it's always a 1. There's a 1 everywhere. Every number is multiplied by 1, divided by 1. So it could be whatever we need it to be. So far, so good? Yes, question? Okay, do what? All those steps? You could do it, but until you become totally conversant with the properties, again, it's much safer going this way than skipping a step. Because -5 was the answers that we got earlier. Do you see where your mistake was?
Yeah, I did. And then went all the way through the parentheses when the 2 ended. I just stopped. Like when I saw the first one.
Yeah. So if you skip any one step, it all falls apart. And that's why it's very, very important. You notice what was important, if you listen to the video, what's important is the same question I ask. Whenever we solve each step, when I started this one, any special operations, read left to right, read left to right. So I found this bracket to here. I have to do inside there. Read left to right. Are there any special operations? Yes, there's a parenthesis right there. Read inside there, left, right. Are there any? I always start with the same questions. Are there any special operations? If the answer is yes, do them until they're gone. There's no more special operations inside there, so I can do that. I do add, subtract. Okay, now let's do this one. There. -2 plus 4 times 6 minus 8. Okay, who's got answers? Spit them out. Okay. One of them has to be right, or both of them can be wrong. Anybody else? Chickens. Ah. That's a big swing.
6.
Somebody said 10? All right, let's look at this. Right, reading left to right. Do you see any special operations? Yeah, there's parenthesis right there. So we have to do inside there first. 6 minus 8 is? -2. Very good. Here's special operation. Can we do anything inside there? No. So we have to get rid of it. So we multiply. Positive times negative. Negative. 4 times 2. Negative 2 minus 8. Is the answer positive or negative? Negative. Because they're both negatives, the answer is negative. 8 plus 2, 10. I'm glad you changed the sign. So there's a difference. There's a difference between these two. Are they the same thing? What's this one? This is addition and subtraction. But there's no parentheses, no multiplication division signs. So with the rules we talked about earlier, if the signs are the same, take the common sign and add the two numbers. 8 plus 2 is 10. This is multiplied. Negative times negative. If you have an even number of negative signs, the answer is positive. 8 times 2, 16. Okay, that's that. I want to go through the different types of rules and stuff and build up to fractions and things. Because I know the first homework assignment is looking at exponents, which we're not really there yet. So I would like to, the rest of this morning, we're going to take a break first, like a 10-minute break, and then come back and we'll finish up one more example of this, and then we're going to look at fractions. Add, subtract, multiply, divide fractions. And I guarantee you, no one's died yet doing it. All right, so let's take a 10-minute break. Let's come back at 9:40. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask.